Stuck in the middle with me, blueberries, bronies, and benchmarks. My wife bought fresh blueberries at the grocery store a few days ago, and they were delicious. As I was eating them, I thought of my father, as blueberries were one of Frank's favorite fruits. Enjoying the simple little blue fruit made me smile because they reminded me of Dad and how I seemed to grow more like him with the passing of decades. Like many sons, I am much like my father. Our propensity to tell stories, our enjoyment of writing and reading, our belief that each person on the earth has a duty to care for himself and to help others are some of the many characteristics my father and I shared. Now that I have achieved middle age, I readily admit our shared characteristics, but this was not always so. No, at one point, a surefire way for my siblings to needle me was to call me Frank Jr. It was a sentiment I detested hearing. I moved out of my parents' home before I turned 20 and subsequently moved back in and out for differing durations until I left for good at 25. My wife and I moved 1,000 miles from family members on either side, and I stayed in contact with my folks through letters, phone calls, and visits. When my mom was nearing her life's end, I started writing poems to express my feelings, and I shared those with my dad. I felt both comfort and connection in expressing my thoughts and feelings with him, and he seemed to appreciate what I had to say. I continued to share my writing with Frank until shortly before his death in February of 2014. And while I know he found some of the thoughts and feelings that I shared with him baffling, I also know that he appreciated my sharing my beliefs with him. We connected through writing. I have 2 sons, and the elder is a brony. For those of you unfamiliar with the term, a brony is a bro, male, who likes ponies, as in the children's show My Little Pony. Kevin is 23 years old and writes My Little Pony fan stories. To quote myself from above, I know he found some of the thoughts and feelings that I shared with him baffling. I also know that he appreciated my sharing my beliefs with him. Yes, I find Kevin's fascination with My Little Pony baffling, and yet I also appreciate it when he shares his stories with me. We don't have to agree with one another and have the same interest to share our love. Because my son cares enough to share his brony stories with me, I care enough to read them. I think that is an important benchmark. It has taken me over a half-century to figure out that sometimes a simple gift is the most precious one. I don't think there is a lot in this world that is more precious than sharing our thoughts, feelings, and joys with people who matter to us. So even though I will likely never become a brony, I will understand Kevin's sharing of his stories for the caring bridge it is intended to be. After all, reading between the lines is what context is all about.